Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. I just messed up my suicide attempt. I'm so bad at everything that I can't even die. Yesterday I tried to hang myself. Since I didn't have any ropes and there isn't any stores that sell it nearby, I used a belt. The moment I let myself go, I got unconscious for like 1 or 2 seconds and fall down. Because the fucking belt wasn't sturdy enough. The metal part torn apart. The weird thing is, I actually thought I died because I couldn't move for a split second when I'm on the floor. And I didn't feel the falling. I just heard the noises. And now I have to wear a scarf in 30 fucking degrees to cover the scar on my neck. If you're on this post, you're probably wondering why I did that. I suppose I should start from the beginning. Ever since I was a kid, I've never been good at communicating with others. And me growing up around terrible people certainly didn't help. You know those kids at school who always act like they're better and mock you whenever they get the change? Imagine spending your whole school life with those people. I don't feel comfortable around people. I just don't. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad people. Whenever I come to a place so noisy and crowded, I try to get myself out of there ASAP. If you're wondering why I never got help from family, it's because they also think I'm weird. I grew up in a family who always gathers together in holidays. I've been yelled at for my entire life by every single member of my family. My parents, grandparent, aunt, uncles, literally all of them. Only because I like to be alone. They always yell at me about me being abnormal and torturing them, even though all I do is sit down, wait for them to finish their beratings. Imagine your whole routine being your family yelling at you and you have no one to talk to. You'd probably start talking to yourself. Right? Welp. That's what I do. I'm a physically ugly guy. It's not like I ever thought of getting a girlfriend. But my appearance still was a big obstacle for me. In middle school, there was this group of girls, which weren't even attractive, who always called me a hairy monkey. Before that, I wasn't sure if I'll have a partner one day. Now I definitely know I'm gonna be using my left hand for my entire life. Yes, I like being alone. But it's not like I didn't want to have a partner. I always dreamt of a person, someone who I will meet in some time in my life. And the one I will spend the rest of my life. This doesn't matter anymore since there's no point for me to live. I've never been successful in my classes. I tried. I really tried, but I just can't be successful. I'm horrible at math and physics. I suck at history and literature. And I'm too skinny for the P. I currently go to college, but I most likely will not be able to finish it. What do you think happens when you're bad at everything and have a family that berates you for pretty much anything? Yeah, that one. Apart from my personal life, the country I live in also has a big impact on this mess of a life. I'm an agnostic living in a Muslim-majority country. I've never been Muslim. I've never felt like one. Now some of you may not like what I'm about to say. In fact, you'll probably destroy me for saying this. But Muslims, at least most of them, do not like non-Muslims. I've never even told my family that. I'm agnostic. And the country being led by an Islamist government definitely does not help. Worst of all, you can't guarantee that a war will not start tomorrow. Apart from the religion, people are bad on their own. You can never trust a taxi driver. They'll try get as much money as possible from you. You can't give your computer to some guy to fix it. He'll steal parts from your computer and get your money. You don't want to wander around the streets on your own. Because anything, and by anything, I mean anything, can happen to you. If you know what happened to Pippa Bakker, you probably know the drill. Apart from the people, the economy also sucks ass. Everything is so fucking expensive. I can't just go to the store and get myself a bottle of Pepsi and Pringles without thinking about it at least 10 times. I'm not even gonna mention how luxury it is to have a fucking video game console. Everything is censored. I pay for internet connection, but I can't even go to Pornhub and jack off without paying for a fucking VPN service. Well-known websites like YouTube and Twitter have also been blocked several times, and I can't even say if they're gonna be blocked again. TV is even worse. People who do the censorship see kissing as something sexual. I think this is enough to explain how much of a pain in the ass to watch TV is. The country is led by a fucking maniac. I'm assuming most of you are familiar with him, so I don't want to talk about him. But I'd like to mention that this person, a fucking president, told that he is on the same way with the terrorist group Taliban. You know what the worst thing is? The 50% of the country, including my own family, supports this maniac. Apart from my personal life and my country, I also think I'm not the person I'm supposed to be. I always think I was born in the wrong place and the wrong time. Despite being in my early 20s, I listen to 80s music, play retro games, and like to watch classic movies. If there's such thing as reincarnation, I hope I'll reborn in at least 1989, in a place far away from Islam, and close to the North Pole. Alright, this should be all I have to say. Please excuse my broken English. Have I given up on suicide? Nope. Why? You ask? Because I live like shit and it doesn't matter if I live or not. Though I'm not sure if I still have the balls to hang myself. It's not like that's the only way to kill myself anyways. Thank you for reading, if you even read the whole thing. Have a nice day, night. Edit. Thank you so much for your support. End of story. Next story. Prettier. PT. 2. 62 comments. Share save hide report 100% upvoted. End of story. Next story. I think the government is watching me. So around 3 months ago I woke up to the sound of a loud vehicle outside of my house. It was a blacked-out, armored-looking SUV. It stopped at the end of my driveway and didn't drive away for about 5 minutes. It always has its lights off. And it never has its windows down. It drives past at the same time every night. At around 2 a.m. on Mondays. It drives past around 30 minutes late. It's done this on the same schedule every day. Last week I was outside on my porch when it drove by. It stopped and backed into my driveway while was outside having a light. The license plate had a U.S. government stamp on it. When the vehicle stopped, 2 men got out and shined a flashlight at me. I walked inside when this happened and it drove off shortly after. I live alone and this is freaking me out. Wrote this about a week or 2 ago. This is the update. Last night I waited in the bushes next to my driveway. The SUV eventually came and I walked up to the passenger side door. I knocked twice. To my surprise, the window rolled down. I looked into the SUV. 5 men were inside. They stared at me. I asked them what they were doing every night driving past my house. One of the men in the back spoke with a laugh and said, "No, we only come on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. The others come on the other days." The other men in the SUV laughed. I pulled out my phone after this and walked to the back of the SUV. I snapped a picture of the license plate. One of the men in the back then jumped out. The driver followed him. They both pulled out what looked to be police batons and held them up. The driver then said, "Delete that picture or we will destroy the phone." I hesitated, then took off for my house. The men didn't expect this. They started running 5 seconds after. I jumped the railing of my porch and made it inside my home. I slammed the door behind me and locked it. The men arrived at the door right as my electric door lock clicked. They laughed on the other side of the door. I then called the police. This is where it got weird. The police arrived and knocked on the door. I opened it and 2 policemen came into my house. They shut the door behind him and took my phone. After about 15 minutes of the officer being on it, he handed it back. Then the 2 officers left. The men in the SUV and the actual SUV itself left as well. After going on my phone and investigating, I realized that the police had deleted the photo completely. I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm going to get in contact with my buddy that is a cop. I will keep you all reading this posted. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.